Tam vidita tatvayam Gopikayam sa Ishvaraha Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneha Mayam Vibhu Itam vidita tatvayam Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneha Mayam Vibhu Itam vidita tatvayam Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneha Mayam Vibhu
Itam vidita tatvayam Gopikayam sa Ishvaraha Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneham Mayam Vibhu
Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneham Mayam Vibhu Itam vidita tatvayam Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneham Mayam Vibhu Itam vidita tatvayam Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneham Mayam Vibhu
Later.
Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneha Mayam Vibhu Gopikayam sa Ishvara Vaishnavim Vyatanam Mayam Putra Sneha Mayam Vibhu.
Does everyone speak English? Anyone not speak English?
Qui ne parle pas anglais?
Only two of you who don't speak English? Okay.
We normally they sit together with one translator.
Okay. So where will they sit? You want to sit somewhere over there, maybe? Let them sit over there. All sit
Depends
over
if
there.
they speak the same language. Who's the other one besides Mice? Pardon? Mice
C'est
and
Maïs, c'est qui d'autre qui parle pas?
Who's the other one?
Comme Wilson.
You don't speak English?
No, sorry,
That's right. So you sit over there with... Yeah, okay.
Another speaker French.
What does he speak?
What do you speak anything? You spoke
Czech.
last night. You speak Bengali, Arabic, Turkish, Kurdish, and Bengali.
Where are you from? Czech Republic or something? Okay. word for word, itam,
Itam.
in this way,
In this way.
vidita tapayam,
Vidita Tattvayam.
when she understood the truth of everything philosophically,
When she understood the truth of everything philosophically.
gopikayam,
Gopikayam.
unto Mother Yashoda,
Unto Mother Yashoda.
Sa,
Sa.
the Supreme Lord,
The Supreme Lord.
Ishvara,
Ishvara.
the Supreme Controller,
The Supreme Controller.
Vaishnavim,
Vaishnavim.
Vishnumaya,
Vishmaya.
or Yogamaya. Vayatanut, expanded. Mayam,
Maya.
Yogamaya.
Yogamaya.
Putra Sneha Mayim,
Putra Sneha Mayim.
very much attached because of maternal affection for her son.
Very much because of eternal affection for her son. For her son.
Vibhu,
Vibhu.
the Supreme Lord.
Supreme Lord.
Translation. Mother Yashoda, by the grace of the Lord, could understand the real truth, but then again, the Supreme Master, by the influence of the internal potency Yogamaya, inspired her to become absorbed in intense maternal affection for her son. Please repeat. Mother Yashoda, by the grace of the Lord, could understand the real truth, but then again, the Supreme Master, by the influence of the internal potency, Yogamaya, inspired her to become absorbed in intense maternal affection for her son. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Although Mother Yashoda understood the whole philosophy of life, at the next moment she was overwhelmed by affection for her son by the influence of Yogamaya. Unless she took care of her son, Krishna, she thought, how could he be protected? She could not think otherwise, and thus she forgot all her philosophical speculations. This forgetfulness is described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as being inspired by the influence of Yogamaya, Mohana Sadaran Mayam. Materialistic persons are captivated by Mahamaya, whereas devotees, by the arrangement of the spiritual energy, are captivated by Yogamaya. Om Jnana Tamandasya Gnanana Shlakaya Chakshumanatamina Tarismai Shudave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapatamin Pudale Swama Vikanana Tadasi Bhaktarandakanda. Mother Yashoda, she is the eternal mother of Krishna, and she loves Krishna, not realizing that he's God. She is put into Yogamaya, as it says here, and Krishna also forgets that he is God, because he becomes overwhelmed by the love, and he doesn't want to feel that he's God. He wants to have intimate relationships with his devotees. And so, where are you going with that? And so therefore, this is the spiritual world. The spiritual world has got different divisions. Some divisions, they worship Lord Narayana with all reverence. And, they don't want to see God as an ordinary person. So they are very reverential, and in the thank you very much. In the what's it called? What's that book by Sanatana Goswami? Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumar, he goes to many different places. It's a wonderful book by Sanatana Goswami. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spent so much time enlightening Sanatana Goswami. The 6 Goswamis, they are the mouthpiece for Lord Chaitanya. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he only wrote 8 verses, the Shikshastakam. Hopefully everybody knows them. They're very important verses because the whole philosophy is in the 8 verses. But still, just to expand the wonderful characteristics of spiritual knowledge and love of Krishna, he actually empowered his disciples, specifically the 6 Goswamis and others, to write beautiful books. So Brihad Bhagavatamrita is a very wonderful book which describes Gopakumar's quest to find the ultimate place. So in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumar, he goes to many different places and he tries many different things. He tries to be a king and he's not satisfied. It's too much of a hassle to take care of the kingdom. Then he, I can't remember the exact sequence of events, but he tries to be Lord Indra, he tries to be Lord Brahma. He goes all over the universe. He tries experiencing life in the Brahma Jyoti. Then he goes to Vaikuntha, and in Vaikuntha, he's there with Lord Narayan, and he's a cowherd boy, and he wants to play his flute, and he's dressed in his Vrindavan cowherd boy clothes, and he wants to, have a intimate relationship with Lord Narayan, but the residents of Vaikuntha, where Lord Narayan is, they don't want him to be like a cowherd boy. They want to worship Lord Narayan as God, with 4 arms. They've got 4 arms, he's got 2 arms. So, they're trying to persuade him to be like them. But he's not really interested because he wants to be a cowherd boy and he wants to play his flute. But when Lord Narayan saw him, he said something wonderful. He said, I'm so happy to see you again. After many lifetimes, you've come back to me. I've waited so long patiently for you to come to me. I couldn't really change the laws of karma that would bring you back to me sooner. So I've just been waiting for you. Now you've come here. I'm so happy that you're here. But the bottom line was he didn't really feel this was the ultimate place he wanted to be. He carried on his travels, and then he eventually went to Vrindavan, which is the topmost planet. And in the topmost planet, the residents in Vrindavan, they don't realize that Krishna's God. So there's a story of the gopis. Krishna thought he would play a trick on the gopis. So they were looking for Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan. So the gopis, they were searching everywhere, here and there for Krishna. They couldn't find him. And Lord Krishna, he decided to play a trick on them, so he manifested a 4-armed form. And when they saw the 4-armed form, they just said to Krishna, who had 4 arms, as Lord Narayan, they said, "Where's Krishna?" They weren't really interested in the 4-armed form, they just wanted to see Krishna in his 2-armed form. So Krishna has certain qualities that no other forms of God have. And one of them is that he has 2 arms, but his form as Krishna is the most beautiful form. And his pastimes, they're the most beautiful pastimes. And his relationships with the residents of Vrindavan are the most fulfilling and deepest relationships. So Mother Yashoda, she's a resident of Vrindavan. She's his eternal mother. And, Krishna, he becomes absorbed in being a little boy. This is all inconceivable And one of the first things we have to understand about God is that He's inconceivable. We will never be able to figure God out. Just like Mahavishnu, He is creating millions of universes. They're coming out of the pores of His body and out of His mouth. So how can we understand that? Universes, even this one universe is, 300 billion miles or something. It's huge. And all these universes coming from His body, and this is a very small universe. So the first step in spiritual life is to realize how limited we are, that we're all very, very limited, and we have imperfect senses, and we make mistakes, and we're subject to illusion, so therefore we cannot really understand very much about God. We can only understand what is being given to us by Vyasadeva, because Krishna says, Savasya chaham shriti sanivastam matasmiti gyanrupavanam cha vedaisya saverham vidya vedantika vedavat evachaham. He says, from me come knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed I am the compiler of the Vedas and the knower of Vedanta. So if we want to know Krishna, we have to study the Vedas. So it depends how much enthusiastic you are to know Krishna, whether you study the Vedas or not. Because if you don't study the Vedas, if you don't read the books, you'll never understand Krishna. Because Krishna has given the books to us. Srila Prabhupada translated the books. They were all in Sanskrit before Prabhupada translated them. Not only that, but even if, like the Bhagavad Gita had been translated into English, but nobody could understand what it meant. So therefore he had to write the purport, the commentary, so that we could understand how to practice spiritual life. It's not just having the text, there has to be a lot of instructions on how to practice spiritual life. So we have all the Vedas, and the Goswamis, specifically the Goswamis of Vrindavan, those were Lord Chaitanya's most, not his most dearest, because the dearest associates of Lord Chaitanya were Lalita and Vishaka, who are the closest friends of Srimati Radharani. But then beyond that, the Goswamis, they were also very intimate servants of Srimati Radharani. So they knew, they understood what are Krishna's pastimes in the spiritual world. And on top of that, Lord Chaitanya instructed them very thoroughly to write books about him. So we have so many books. And there's one song by Srinivasacharya, the Sad Goswami Astakam, which explains how the Goswamis, they are simply wanting to shower nectar on the conditioned souls by, giving these beautiful books, so many books. You couldn't read all the books. Jiva Goswami, he wrote 400,000 verses. Rupa Goswami, he wrote 100,000 verses. Beautiful plays, which are very difficult to understand. Some are very difficult to understand because they're not privy, they're not open to just anybody. You have to be qualified. So there's one song also by Narottam Das Thakur. He says, when will I be eager to study the books of the 6 Goswamis? So this is, when will I get the mercy of Lord Nityananda? When will I have no more material desires? This is a very high ambition, is to have no more material desires, because everyone who comes to the material world, we have a physical body which we want to enjoy. We have all our senses. We want to see beautiful things. We want to hear beautiful music. We want to taste nice food. We have all our senses that are just agitating us to enjoy life with our body. So therefore, when we first become devotees, it's a little bit difficult because we're plunging into a way of life where we're denying our senses in one respect. But it's a question of just reconditioning our senses to enjoy life in a different way. Because the soul is meant for enjoyment. We're not meant to be dry, spiritual things that don't experience bliss. We're supposed to be full of bliss, full of knowledge, and eternal. So this is the whole process of Krishna consciousness, is to bring out the essential nature of the living entity, which is actually to love Krishna. So the whole process is very scientific, that if you follow it very strictly, you have to follow it. I mean, okay, we have the contemporary Vedic ashram, which is great. But we do want to kind of progress. We want to, become very serious devotees, because if we don't do that, we'll stay for some time, then we'll give it up and we'll try something else. And, we'll never be satisfied. We'll float around in the material world, experiencing some mundane pleasure. We'll take birth again, over and over and over again. So ultimately, we need to be very serious about spiritual life, because if we are serious, then we'll be rewarded. Just like going on book distribution. It's not so easy sometimes. We used to go out. I used to go with Maharaj. He took us out. You're out there in the karmi world. You're trying to find people who are willing, are open-minded enough to take a book, to give you a donation. It's a little bit of a challenge, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. And when Prabhupada, he wrote a letter to a devotee called Prabhu Vishnu. You probably never heard of him, but he's Prabhu Vishnu. He's different.
He was here last year.
He was here last year. I was with him. That's true. Yeah, he's a great devotee. So he took out the first traveling Sankirtan party in the UK, actually.
In Europe.
In Europe. Whoa. So they were living in a van and going out and distributing books, and Prabhupada wrote him a letter. He said, you're going out in the cold and difficult, living in a van, but, please know that Lord Chaitanya is very pleased with you. Of course, sometimes just cleaning the bathroom isn't something we'd really want to do, cleaning the toilet. We used to clean the toilet every day at Berry Place. It was every day we cleaned the toilet, cleaned the bathroom. So this is austerity.
It was easy, there was only one.
That's okay if you like cleaning toilets. It was okay,
One
yeah, it was
toilet and
easy.
one shower for everybody. Well, the ladies
Anyway, for karmas, you're trying to deter my class, For most people, they don't want to clean toilets. But for us, for devotees, it's a privilege to clean the toilet. Because it's Krishna's devotees' toilet. And, but these austerities, cleaning the temple, cleaning the floor, whatever it is, as a devotee, we perform austerities, getting up early in the morning. Chanting 16 rounds a day, that's an austerity. But if we don't do that, then we won't, be qualified to understand Krishna's pastimes, because the holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. So we have to have faith in the holy name, and we have to chant with faith, and even though we have no taste for chanting, and this is something that all the great acharyas have said exactly the same thing. They all say, I have no faith, I have no taste for chanting the holy name. Every single one of them. So they're just trying to say, well, don't worry, it's normal to have no taste, but keep going, because if you don't, then you'll become attracted to material life again. So we have to keep chanting and have faith in the holy name. And if we do that, then I don't really know exactly how it works. It may be like there's a point where something gets so hot that it bursts into flames. What's that called? Something combustion. But so, there might be a certain point when you keep chanting, and at a certain point, you reach perfection, and everything becomes clear. And tears stream from your eyes like torrents of rain. I mean, that's the message we get from Lord Chaitanya, that, you start off with no taste for the holy name, but by the end, he's saying, Yugaitam nameshena chakshusha pravisaitam sunyaitam savam Govinda brahedami. Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. So, Lord Chaitanya, he is encouraging us that whatever it takes to keep chanting so that we can go back to the spiritual world and enter into Krishna's pastimes. Srila Prabhupada says that, if you chant your rounds every day, then he will be there at the end of our life. He'll be there to help us. So, Mother Yashoda, she's eternally perfect, and we're eternally conditioned, but we can become Nityasiddha, that every devotee can actually achieve perfection if they try their hardest. It takes time. Some people, they have more of a natural inclination towards Krishna consciousness. Some people, they're slower. But everybody can actually become perfect if they persevere. So we just have to follow the process. We have so much things that need to be done here, that the greatest benefit we get is from helping Srila Prabhupada spread Krishna consciousness. So, we're all in different situations. I just came from Hungary. It's very well organized, very expert management there. But we're all in different situations. We have to try to make it ideal wherever we are. It's not that, it can only be done in Hungary. It could be done everywhere. But in Hungary, it's just very advanced. Like they have the temple in Budapest. It's worth going there one day if you ever get a chance. It's just incredibly beautiful temple. And the day I was there, just the day before yesterday, in the morning, they had a lot of people came. They weren't devotees. They came in the regular dress, and there was at least 100, maybe more. And they all came because they signed up for classes at the college. They have a college there, and very nice building. They teach all kinds of things like cooking, Sanskrit, Bhagavad Gita, and most of the people that go to the college, they end up becoming devotees, chanting japa, etc. So, we have to think of ways to strain our brain. Prabhupada used that saying, strain the brain to spread Krishna consciousness. And that one who is always thinking of ways to spread Krishna consciousness, that person is a pure devotee. So we should use our intelligence, even if we don't have very much. We can go out on Harinam, we can make a new Mayapur very beautiful, we can grow vegetables here, we can, so many things that need to be done. And one of the special features of Jayananda, who was really the first saint in ISKCON, was that he would do anything. He would do whatever it took. You could find him fixing a car in his dirty, oily clothes. He would go to the market and get the vegetables from the market. He would build Rathayatra carts with all the people that were out of it, who still smoked cigarettes and did all kinds of, didn't follow properly. He would engage them in building the Rathayatra cart. So he was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. And so when he passed away, you probably know the story, Prabhupada wrote a letter to the devotees. I mean, it was to him, but he'd already passed away, so it was really meant for the devotees. He said, "My dear, beloved Jayananda, you have been with me from the beginning. You gave your life savings to, you drove a taxi, you gave your life savings to print the Nectar of Devotion. So I think that you have gone back to Krishna. And if you didn't go directly back to Krishna, then you went to the heavenly planets before you go back to Krishna." Of course, one time Prabhupada said that the problem with his disciples is that they wanted to go to the heavenly planets. We want to go where there's much more material enjoyment. Heavenly planets, they have much more beautiful bodies. But it's very entangling there. And then you could fall back here, but Jayananda from the heavenly planets, Prabhupada said, you go back to Godhead. So that's what we want. We want to go back to Godhead. We don't want to stay in this material world. When you get old, you realize what it means to have a material body. When you're young, you don't really realize what it means so much. But Prabhupada said, don't think it won't happen to you. Because all his disciples were young and beautiful, and Prabhupada was old, and he's sick, couldn't walk, we had to carry him around. Didn't even want to eat, actually. He conquered overeating, Prabhupada. He was a great yogi because, he wasn't eating anything at the end of his life. He was just absorbed in translating the books. He was hearing the holy name. Some of the singers, they were terrible singers, actually. But he said, I want to hear the holy name. This is the medicine, the holy name. So we really need to aspire to go back to Godhead. And everybody can go back to Godhead. We're trying. Prabhupada wanted everybody to go back to Godhead, and we should try to have that mood of at least, creating a spiritual space in the material world for people to come and see the difference between material life and spiritual life. That's another thing. Here, I heard they have nice open days where you get some people coming from outside. In Hungary, it's very well organized. They have different booths. They get people to try cooking. They get the women to try on saris. You have a booth where people can change into saris, and just so many innovative ways of trying to preach. This is all how we get Krishna's mercy. It's by using our intelligence of how to spread Krishna consciousness, because whatever you know about Krishna, it's all commensurate, it's all dependent on how much you dedicate your life to the mission. So we see that all the great acharyas, all the previous great devotees, they're always absorbed in preaching work. Either writing books, establishing temples, whatever it is, they're all completely absorbed in trying to help the poor conditioned souls who have no hope of happiness as long as they're in the material world. So we should never become envious of materialistic people, that they might have a nice car. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't know the verse number, but if somebody is disturbed by the opulence of others, if your mind is disturbed when you see, somebody who has nice material facilities or whatever, or if you have grudges against others, if you have a grudge, you can't go back to Godhead. So we all have to give up our grudges against people, because they will force us to come back to the material world. So devotees don't have any enemies. This is one of the symptoms of a sadhu. Titikshava karunika suridas avadeyanam ajata shatrava shanta sadhava sadhu bhushanam. It's a famous verse, which means that the symptoms of a sadhu is that he's very tolerant, very merciful, he abides by the scriptures, he has no enemies, and all his qualities are sublime. So one of the 26 qualities of a devotee is faultless. We're trying to be faultless, so we need to be very analytical about our own consciousness, our own internal state of mind. Thank you very much. Because it's only by examining ourselves that we can actually make progress. We have to examine, like back to Vinod Thakur, he said, every Ekadashi you have to look back, how much advancement have I made since the previous Ekadashi? So, spiritual life is ecstatic, it's not static, it's always changing, and we should always be improving, we should always be endeavoring for perfection, and be aware of our faults, and to try to give up our anarthas. But basically, if you follow sadhana bhakti, which means rising early, chanting a japa, coming to the morning program, coming to Guru Puja, just all the things we do, like taking Charanamrita, worshipping Tulsi Devi, all these things, they purify the consciousness. And when we're purified, then automatically love manifests in the heart. But it takes time. One of the most important items that we have to be aware of is that it will take some time. So we can't be impatient. We can't. Prabhupada gave the example of a girl that gets married. She wants to have a child right away. But that's not possible. You have to wait for some time. So, similarly, and then he also said that the best things take a long time. And he gave the example of macadamia nuts. You all know macadamia nuts? Mm-hmm. So macadamia nuts, they take a long time to grow. Mm-hmm. So, this spiritual life, you have to be very patient, but it's worth the wait, because, we're getting the most valuable thing, which is Krishna Prema. There's nothing in the world which has any value, actually. All the money in the world, all those beautiful cars or women or clothes or whatever, it's got no value whatsoever if it's not got a relationship with Krishna. So we have to understand that completely. That, you see some of these big rock stars, they've got so much money. Everybody wants to be a rock star because they'll be famous, they'll be on a stage, everybody will be ogling them. And they make so much money, it's amazing how much money they make. But we shouldn't be attracted, we should see what is the most important thing in life. The most important thing in life is to be happy. You can never be happy without Krishna. So, Krishna says, Rajabhija Rajaguyam Pavitramita Vitramam Pratakshivagam Mam Damyam Shushukam Katam Aviyam. So we have to be convinced of that. Even though, there are so many attractions in the material world, we have to immediately see them for what they are. They're meaningless, they have no value, and all the materialistic people who are enamored they're put into Mahamaya, they're all, sooner or later, this life they may be wealthy, whatever, but the scriptures say that there's hellish planets. You drink alcohol, what's the hellish planet? You have to drink molten lead. There's even a hellish planet if you don't offer your enemy a place to sit and a glass of water. There's 26 hellish planets. Because we don't dwell on the hellish planets too much. They're not really mentioned very elaborately, but they are there in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, description of the hellish planets. So practically everyone's going to hell. But so devotees, they can help people. Nobody else can because nobody knows. I mean, there's so many beautiful cathedrals in the world, but nobody goes there anymore. Really beautiful
Tourists
buildings.
go there.
Huh?
Tourists. The tourists.
Yeah,
go.
tourists go, exactly, right. But they don't really go to worship God. They don't think, this was built as a wonderful offering to God, even though, they took 30 or 40 years to build. But technology has just bewildered everybody. They are pretty clever. I went to the dentist the other day. She had the high-tech equipment. It was amazing. Very nice lady in Budapest. She offered to fix my teeth for free. But I've never seen, she had the latest equipment, the brand new Nikon camera to take pictures of your mouth. She was expert. She was a devotee. But they have some knowledge, and people are bewildered. They think, we're so much more advanced than we used to be. But how did they build this building? 3 stories high. What did they use of scaffolding to go up that high? Huge blocks of stone. How did they do it? They had knowledge. Now, it's all plastic and horrible stuff. But they're taken in. They think we're more advanced. But we shouldn't be bewildered. We should see, what is the benefit of all this stuff. It hasn't freed us from birth, death, old age, and disease. Does it tell people who they are? Are they people aware of, that when you die, you don't die, you go to get another body? They don't know that. They're just wasting their lives uselessly. And they're not happy, Kirtan actually makes you happy. You go on Harinam, Prasadam, so many nice things. So we should be very determined to stick with the process forever, for our whole life. And then we can enter into the spiritual world and we'll see Krishna, and it'll all be worthwhile. We'll think, basically the best thing I ever did was to move into the temple. So, we have to believe that this, the greatest gift that we had was to get the gift of Krishna consciousness and to move into the temple and to get the chance to perfect our lives. Okay, Hare Krishna. Have a question?
One little comment and one question.
Yeah.
A couple of days after Prabhupada wrote to Jayananda, or wrote to the devotees about Jayananda, he wrote a letter also saying, actually, he's gone straight back to Vaikuntha.
Oh, okay. Vaikuntha or Goloka?
He said Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha sometimes is used interchangeably with anything in the spiritual, so that's not necessarily a statement of definite definition. But it means the spiritual world. He went straight back to the spiritual world. He didn't go to heavenly plans. Prabhupada wrote that 3 days later. But I have a question. You could infer from some of, let's say, the train of thought.
Say that again?
You could infer from the train of thought that we're kind of following a kind of a blind path with no taste. That no one around us has got a taste. They all, whether they have or haven't, they say they have. And we don't have a taste. And is it kind of like blind following here? I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, without experiencing a higher taste, you can't give up the lower one.
Right.
Nectar devotion, Prabhupada writes, without getting a taste, even in practicing stage in devotional service, you can't carry on with your devotion. So, is there a correlation between when you said taste and happiness, or is it two different things?
Well, it takes a little time to get a taste sometimes, But immediately there should be relief from material life. That's what the Nectar of Devotion says, So it depends on the individual.
Surely there has to be some taste as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some subhada has to be there too.
There's a taste in the kirtan, there's a taste in the prasadam, chanting japas. It's a little bit of an austerity, but there can be a taste. Prasadam, reading the books. I get a lot of taste out of reading the books. I love reading the books.
So we do get some taste.
Yeah, I didn't say we didn't get any taste.
I
never said we don't get any taste.
I
never said we don't get any taste.
Just to get free of suffering is the only point, but there is some taste as well.
Yeah, there's definitely some taste. But, ultimately, we want to taste the full nectar, which means, we should have a taste for hearing about Krishna. If you want the highest taste is Krishna Prema. You can't get Krishna Prema unless you know Krishna. So how are you going to know Krishna unless you read the books? So, we have to really study the books and, we develop love of Krishna, and that's the highest taste. But there's lots of wonderful tastes in Krishna consciousness. Like seeing the deities is a taste. Like Shiva Ramaraj, he has a real taste for deity worship. It's a good thing to do, is to be involved in deity worship. And it's good that at Soho Street you worship the deities. Everybody's involved, but when I became a devotee, they didn't really, they didn't encourage you, because I was good at Sankirtan, so they wanted me to go out all the time and sell books and make money. So I wasn't really encouraged to kind of do deity worship. But Shiva Ramaraj, and many others too, I'm sure, he was the president of Chicago, and at that time the Chicago temple, they were distributing a lot of books. A lot of Sankirtan devotees were going. It was a very difficult place to distribute books, Chicago Airport, O'Hare Airport. So, he was the president, but at the same time, nobody was available to do the deity worship, so he got absorbed in deity worship, and he really enjoyed it. And then, later on, he got his own deities. I was with him. He went to India. He got some Gaunitai deities, beautiful deities. And then, he established the deities. I mean, if you saw the deity room there, it's so pucker, it's so beautiful, it's so well organized, it's just amazing. And so then he got a taste of worshipping Radhe Shyam, the main deities at New Brajadam, the Hungarian farm. And then he got Radha Damodar, his which belonged to Swarup Damodar. He got those small deities. So there's lots of different tastes, worshipping the deity, reading the books. Now he has a taste for writing books. I mean, Prabhupada had a taste for preaching. Preaching is the highest taste, because Lord Chaitanya says, Anandam Bodhivadanam Patipadam Purnamrita Shvadanam, that gives us a taste of the nectar for which we're always anxious. So being involved in the Sankirtan movement, we'll get a taste. Whether you're cleaning the floor or whatever you do, you'll get a taste.
What if you're not feeling like you're getting a taste?
Well, then you have to grit your teeth and just be patient.
Nothing else?
Well, what else can you do? You don't always get a taste. Sometimes it's difficult, but you should be so convinced of the philosophy and have so much faith in the practices and in Prabhupada that the taste is going to come at a certain point. You may not always get a taste.
Does association help?
Association is very important. It says satam prasangam viryasambhava bhavanti hikrana rasayana katha tajyoshana zapavagavat manish. One should hear in the association of devotees, because by hearing in the association of devotees, your attraction becomes fixed and your faith develops. So that's, if you hear in the association of devotees and your attraction will become fixed, and even when you don't get a taste, because sometimes you don't always get a taste. It's just a fact, but you carry on anyway. Prabhupada has disciples who let him down. Not much taste in that. Seeing his sannyasis fall down sometimes. Because he was trying to get the movement started, so he gave sannyas easily to people. So you can't pretend there's taste all the time. Sometimes, there's disappointment in Krishna consciousness. But you should be so fixed in the knowledge, so determined to practice. We can't pretend it's all just, what's that word? Hunky-dory. It's all, we don't want to pretend that there's no challenges. There are challenges, and we should be aware there are going to be challenges, but we should be ready for them, and we should not become bewildered when there are challenges. But, I agree. Even when there's challenges, there should be a taste. The taste is, that we know we're doing the right thing, and that we're pleasing Prabhupada by carrying on, even when there's challenges in life. Anything else? Any other points for us?
We could go on and on and on.
Okay, well.
We have to go on and on.
Anyone else? All
We
right.
have to have another taste. It's breakfast. It's pretty important. That's one of the main things for
To get a taste?
get taste for prasadam.
Yeah.
Otherwise that sustains them through difficulty.
Yeah.
Nice prasadam.
It's important to have good prasadam. Prabhupada was very keen that everybody eats nice prasadam, because that's one of our, for new devotees, that keeps you going, prasadam. And if you feel a bit like there's no taste, take more prasada.
Some of us didn't. They just eat.
Huh?
They would just eat and eat and eat. You know.
Some of them do. They get big. Brahmananda. But Brahmananda, you probably heard of Brahmananda. Whenever he would see Prabhupada, he would start crying. Tears would come from his eye. He could just get so affected by seeing Prabhupada.
Even Jayananda would eat a lot. And he would say, he would go up to devotees in the middle of the night, wake them up sometimes. Here, take this. Samosa
Peanut butter halva. He liked
or samosa, stick it in his mouth. 12 o'clock at night. Taste this. Yeah, they go to the Ras festival where he's making the Ras carts just to taste peanut butter halva.
Well, that's one of the reasons Prabhupada, he had his ISKCON bullets.
The gulag.
Yeah, so if devotees felt a bit depressed, they could eat a gulab and keep going. When I was on Sankirtan, I used to eat marzipan.
What is it?
Yeah,
They don't make it anymore. Marzipan. I used to buy it at Holland and Barrett, and I used to always keep some with me when I was on book
You used to buy it in Marks and Spencer's also. They were very popular.
Yeah, but that was low class. And this Holland Barrett was made with pure cane syrup. Cane.
Expensive. You remember Punyatama?
Yeah, of course.
Very well, because he left his body. But he was in a class one morning, and Trivikram Swami was giving class in every place. And he asked a question, because Trivikram Maharaj had been talking about, how important sadhana is, and getting up in Mangalarti and chanting. And Punyatama wasn't really a very exemplary example of that in those days. He was a very big book distributor.
Yeah, but he was on my party. I know him very, very well.
Yeah, so you know him. But he was, Sankirtan for him was his life, basically speaking. So he asked the question, how is it, Maharaj? I've got lousy, something like this, he said, I've got lousy sadhana, really bad sadhana, but every day, practically on the top, book distributor, this is in very place at that time, maybe another time he was with you, but. And Trivikram said, what would you do if you weren't doing well on Sankirtan? He liked it, He said, I'd probably leave. I mean, what else would there be for me? So that's why he said Krishna's allowing this because he wants you to stay. He wants you to he's reciprocating with you like that.
Yeah.
Because that's where you're getting your his taste was we used to have a whole maha plate the next morning. That was one of his motives, was to get the whole maha plate in the morning.
Mango sweets.
A little bit of ego, you could say, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But Krishna reciprocates, It's not, he knows, we're not so advanced.
Yeah.
The real taste of seeing Krishna happy is perhaps not our main motivation.
Well, we were told that it made Prabhupada happy, that's why we did it.
It made Prabhupada happy, and that's a very wonderful point. When he saw so many books being distributed, Prabhupada was so happy. So that was a motivation, it may not have been conscious.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai.
HG Adikarta Prabhu ki
So I guess we start at 11:30 again, is that right? 11:30. If anyone wants, we're going to start a little bit earlier because there's only one session and I need another 8 sessions to cover the topic.